This lesson is part of Media, Mobiles, and Ministry, which is a curriculum set of over 40 lesson plans covering 4 different topic areas: foundations of media ministry, mobile ministry, social media ministry, and do-it-yourself mobile media creation. You can find more information at www.mobmin.org/train.
This is number 11 in the Do-It-Yourself Media Creation section of the Media, Mobiles and Ministry curriculum. And it's the second of 2 lessons on recording and editing audio on a mobile device. In the first lesson, we talked about recording audio, and in this lesson, we'll talk more about audio editing. Audio editing allows a media creator to make changes to an audio file. These changes could be corrections, revisions, removing distracting sounds, applying effects, and many other possibilities. The goal of editing is generally to modify a file into something that is more accurate and representative of the desired result. Once a file is edited, it can be made ready for sharing with an audience or for use in another piece of media, such as a video. In this lesson, we will learn the basic principles of editing audio. We'll become familiar with the basic functions of an audio editor app. We'll experience editing some files and discover an editing app that meets your needs. So why do we edit audio? Isn't it easy to always get a good recording with a mobile device? Surely all I need to do is press the record button and then save it when I'm done. Unfortunately, it doesn't always work quite like that. So let's look at some of the challenges of recording and see how editing can help. In a live recording, it is typically difficult to capture a desired piece of sound with no errors or distracting sounds getting into the recording. Even very experienced people make mistakes during recording. Unless you are in a very isolated studio, sounds from the local environment are often happening nearby. Sounds of people, vehicles, animals, activities, and so on. The difficulty in obtaining an error-free recording increases with both the length and the environment or surroundings. The longer the script or recorded passages, the harder it is to record without any errors. The less controlled the recording environment is, the more likely there will be distracting background noise. Sometimes it is just more practical to edit than to expect to get a perfect recording in one try, because this very rarely happens. And sometimes it is better to edit than to keep recording the same thing repeatedly in an attempt to capture a perfect delivery by the speaker and at the same time a noise-free recording. Editing also allows fixing and cleaning up a recording. It allows us to remove spoken errors. It allows us to remove distracting noises, to decrease long pauses or to extend pauses that are too short. Editing allows us to remove excess silence or to replace a section that is too loud or too soft. There are times when it is not appropriate to edit a recorded file. This could be when the goal of the recording is to capture and keep authentic, unedited sound experience. Another reason for not editing is when we do not have permission or the legal or ethical right to change anything about the audio file. Another time when we want to be careful about editing is when we do not fully understand the language and don't have a native speaker checking and verifying the edits. If we make mistakes editing words or sounds that we don't fully understand, you can significantly change the message without realizing it. When it comes to editing audio on a mobile device, you will need a smartphone. You will not be able to edit on a feature phone. There are many audio editing apps that are available for smartphones. There are some very good free apps, but there are also some apps that are not very good. It may take some time to find one that you like. And remember that your needs for app features may change over time. How easy a particular app will be to use on your phone depends not only on the actual design of the app, but also on the speed and capability of the processor in your phone, the amount of available memory or RAM, the screen size, and then also how many other apps and files are on the phone already that may be competing for the resources of the phone. If you have too many other apps that are running in the background, then editing on a phone can be a very slow process. I'm not aware of any apps for a feature phone that would allow editing an audio file, but this may change in the future as more apps become available. If all you have available is a feature phone, then you need to focus on trying to get the best recording possible instead of relying on editing. Or another option is to record on your feature phone and then move the recorded files to a device that can do editing. So what are some of the things that we need to think about when editing? We need to consider the accuracy of the recording. Were the correct words said? Were they said in the correct way? A difference in tone of voice, word emphasis, rhythm, speed, or punctuation can influence the meaning of the message. We need to consider any background sounds. Will they be distracting to the listener? Or do they enhance the sense of local culture or identity to the listening audience? Sometimes background sounds are not an issue, and they may make the recording more authentic and meaningful to a particular group of listeners. If you have questions, and if it is possible, check with people with the same background as those within the intended listening audience. There will be times during a recording project when a decision must be made whether it would be better to edit or re-record either a section or the whole thing. Re-recording sometimes is easier and less time-consuming than editing. Sometimes editing is the better choice. Experience will be the best teacher of which will be the best option in each situation. But a simple guide would be, if there's just a few issues to fix, then go ahead and edit it. But if there's a lot to fix or adjust in a short passage, it may be easier and quicker to just re-record it. Or also, if we have content that is not possible to re-record, say from a live event, then of course editing is the only choice. It is very important to listen to your edits. Start and end your listening a few seconds before and a few seconds after the edited section. Check to discover if the edited area is noticeable. That is, does it stand out in a bad way when you listen to the finished file? If it blends in naturally with the recording, that's great. If it stands out as different from the rest of the recording, then you may need to make some adjustments. You may need to make sure the start or end of words are not clipped off. You may need to adjust the spacing at the edit point to make the flow of the sound more natural, or even adjust the volume up or down. The goal is the edit point is not noticed by the listener. Usually mobile editing apps have 3 main screens as part of the application. There will be the recording screen, the editing screen, and the file manager screen. Common features on the recording screen will be record and stop buttons. There will usually be a meter or visual indicator of volume level. And then there will typically be a menu or settings button. Common features on the editing screen will be a display of the sound wave or the waveform, a measure or time scale, buttons for playback and record, a cursor to show the precise location in the sound file, and a toolbar with a selection of editing tools with menus to save and export a file, adjust recording settings and formats, and perform other editing functions that might be available in the app. Most editing apps work similar to other applications on your phone in that they use finger taps and gestures to select commands, to zoom in and out within a waveform, to select or highlight sections to edit. However, there are a few apps that do not behave in this way and may have some different design for zooming and selecting areas and so on, so you'll just have to try each app individually. Common features on the file menu screen will be the ability to select files to play recordings, perform individual or batch functions, that is, doing the same thing to multiple files at the same time. And there will be menus to save and export a file, to adjust recording settings and formats. Many file manager screens also include the ability to share audio files with other apps or devices. Finding the best app for your needs that is one that will work well on your device, enable you to do what you want to do, will really be a process of trying and testing. Download multiple apps and try them out to see if the functions and limitations of each particular app will work well for you. There are many differences between the apps in features and functions, strengths and weaknesses. Some free apps limit the length of recording, where others limit the saved format options. It is important to try different apps until you find one that works well for you in your context. Don't simply trust published web reviews. They may not always be relevant to your context. Some possible free apps that you want to try will be Wave Editor, WavePad Free, or Lexis Audio Editor. If possible, especially for recordings that are longer or difficult to redo, save a copy of the unedited file before you start to edit. Use your File Manager app to save a copy of the file, adding a suffix to the file name such as original or backup, and keep that file safe and only edit on the working copy. That way, if it all goes wrong, you can always start again. Use precision when editing. Zoom in far enough to make sure you are only removing or editing the correct section, and you are not taking out or leaving behind the wrong parts. Make sure you can still hear the beginning and end of all the words. Play back the edited file to confirm the changes were good and that no new errors were made during the edit. Another good suggestion is to not work by yourself when editing files in a language that you do not understand fluently. Have a local speaker present with you, checking and affirming all your edits. Or even better, teach a local language speaker to do the editing for you. So now let's talk about some of the specific tools and functions used when editing. The first and most basic thing you need to do is to select the section of audio you want to edit. There are often two ways you can do this. Firstly, you can use gestures with your finger to tap and drag to select a specific area. Or alternatively, some apps provide a select command in the menu to enable you to select predetermined regions of the file. Now that you have selected the area you want to edit, there are multiple things you can do with it. Delete. This completely erases or removes the selected area. Cut. This erases the selected area but saves that section to the clipboard, which is the temporary memory of the phone. A selection that is cut can be pasted into the file in a different location. Undo. Returns the condition of the file to how it was before the last editing command. Redo. Redo is generally only enabled after undo has been used. Redo returns the file to how it was with the most recent editing command before the undo. Copy. Saves a copy of the selected area to the clipboard. If we choose paste, then the most recent data on the clipboard is either inserted where the cursor bar is located or placed over top of an area that is selected. Silence. This inserts or adds a period of silence where the cursor bar is located or over the selected area. Amplify. Increase or decrease the volume of the audio in a selected area. Fade. Make the amplitude or volume steadily increase or decrease over time. Normalize. This is used to set the maximum amplitude or volume within a certain file. To normalize a file, firstly select an area or an entire file. Select Normalize from the menu. Choose what amplitude level you want the loudest peak sound of that section to be. Between -1 dB and -3 dB is a good maximum setting. The app will then increase or decrease the entire selected area by the amount necessary to have the loudest peak sound at the chosen level. Okay, so now it is time to practice some of the things we've discussed. I would like you to install at least 2 different editing apps if you don't already have them installed on your phone. Some suggested editing apps for Android phones will be WavePad Free, Wave Editor, Record Forge 2 Lite, or Lexis Audio Editor. or on an iOS device, you could try Voice Record Pro. Record an audio sample with each app. Explore and test each app's editing features and functions. Then go ahead and save and label the edited samples and play them back to a friend or colleague. Discuss with them all the differences that you found in the usefulness and ease of experience between all the apps that you tried. And then go ahead and choose your favorite editing app. Well, thank you for watching. This has been Mobile Audio Editing, which is Lesson 11 in the DIY Media Creation section of the Media, Mobiles and Ministry curriculum.